He was a bit of a wild character. He loved having fun. He was outgoing and sociable. Loved everybody. Everybody loved him. As I was growing up, he had such jobs as wrestling alligators at Silver Springs. He used to milk rattlesnakes for the venom to sell, because I guess that's what the antidote is made of, is the venom. He was always doing some crazy type of adventure and liked to travel a lot. He called himself a gypsy, so he was kind of everywhere. He couldn't sit in one space for very long.
Sounds like a really cool guy.
He was. He was the kind of guy that when my friends were when we were all in high school and we had, parties and things like that, they would say, hey, don't forget to bring your dad. So, nobody else wanted their dad there, but my dad was just that kind of guy. When my dad was diagnosed with cancer, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he ultimately ended up in a care facility, Huntington Village behind the mall. And at that point, when he got worse and worse, they kind of called hospice in. I was young and didn't really know what to do or where to go or the procedures for anything like that. So they called hospice in, and she would come visit every single day, and she would sit and talk to me, and she would sit and talk to him, and we would laugh, and he would tell her all his crazy stories. And she was a wonderful, wonderful woman. Her name was Donna. I will never, ever forget. And she was amazing. But the care facility is the ones who called them in.
Brothers and sisters?
I am an only child, so it was just me. And I was very young and trying to take care of my father. It was tough, so it was nice to have that support. Although him and my mom were not together anymore, they were still like very best of friends. So I had her there to help me as well, but it was still nice to have that added extra support from, somebody who knew what they were talking about and knew what they were going through other than the doctors. It's tough. It's, especially when you're young. Nobody should have to take care of their parents in their 20s ever. And it's tough. You don't, the doctors talk to you and they talk about, procedures and treatments and things like that, but none of it really makes sense to you because you don't have a clue. And you're having to do things, with your, in my case, my dad, that, you didn't think you would have to do for years, and take care of them and help bathe them and watch them deteriorate health-wise. It's really tough. I think it was probably the last day that he was alive. I think I was in denial for a long time, and I thought, he'll be all right, this is just a thing. And he wasn't the healthiest person, as I was growing up anyway, but he always got through it, and he had epilepsy as well, so he'd have a seizure, I'd have to take care of him for a couple months, and then he'd be fine. And I think I kind of had in the back of my mind that this was going to be the same thing, although it obviously wasn't. And the nursing home called me one night and they said, we think you should come down here. Your dad, isn't doing so well. And I went down and they asked me if they wanted me to call Donna to come in, the hospice lady. And I said, no, I'm just going to spend the night. He'll be fine in the morning. Everything will be great. And in the morning, I left for just a few minutes to go grab something to eat. And by the time I came back, he had passed on. And she was already there, and she was there to greet me, and she kind of prepared me before I walked into the room. And I think that's really when it hit me how much she meant to me and how much help she was to me. She helped me decipher a lot of what the doctors said, a lot of what I needed to do. And then when it came time for planning, my father's funeral and planning, what I needed to do as far as calling the funeral home and things like that, she helped a lot because I was really clueless and had no idea. So she helped me decipher everything and kind of walked me through everything, and she was there for me totally. It was great. It makes me feel good to know that even though my dad passed on, she just didn't pass me, okay, I'm finished with you. Now I'm on to the next person. She bothered to keep in touch with me, and to every once in a while I would go to my dad's graves and see flowers on it, and then she would tell me later on, I was at your dad's grave and left flowers. And so it meant a lot to me that she cared that much, not only about me, but about my dad. I had so many special times with my dad just growing up in general, but I have to say, towards the end, one of the most special times was I would tell him every once in a while I was going to break him out. So I would have him leave the nursing home, and I would take him to lunch, or, we would go down to the beach and whatever. And I think probably my most special time was when I broke him out and we went to Disney, because he was a Disney fanatic and had been taking me since I was a child. So I surprised him one day and I brought him a Disney ball cap. And I said, Daddy, I got you a Disney ball cap, to wear when you're outside, here, whatever. And he was like, oh, you went to Disney? And I was like, yeah. And then we walked outside, and my car was sitting there waiting. And I was like, I'm breaking you out today and we're going to Disney. And he freaked out and started crying. And so that was probably one of the most special moments. I would probably have to say, definitely don't try to do it on your own. I think a lot of times people think that they're strong enough, they can handle it on their own and they'll be fine. And I do not think you can do it on your own, because it's tough. I don't care how old you are, it's a tough road. And Halifax Hospice definitely made my life so much easier. And I don't know what I would have done without them in hindsight, no matter how much I thought I was strong enough to do it on my own. So I think that's probably my biggest piece of advice, is don't try to do it by yourself. Well, I just recently joined the Ambassador Program, which I'm very, very excited about. I'm very into volunteerism. And the Ambassador Program came up, and I decided to join into that so that I could help out more and be more involved. Over the years, I've just haven't done a whole lot with hospice as far as volunteering, because I didn't really know where to start. And I didn't think I could handle like what Donna did for me. I don't think that I have that in me. So I wasn't really sure where to start in hospice. So I'm really excited about the Ambassador Program and getting involved with that. It's a volunteer opportunity. They have a couple of different groups you can do, from filing to helping out with the events that hospice has. You can, we just recently set up at the Speedway and penned 10,000 vets. And that was a very inspirational and awesome day. I mean, it was phenomenal. And so you can help out with the different events. You can help out with filing if you like the more behind the scenes kind of things. And I'm really, really excited about it.